Over the past 6 weeks, we've looked at various whiteboard resources for you and your students. We started out looking at Keynote as a whiteboard, then we moved on to Google and Jamboard. We looked at the new resources available in Nearpod, did a deep dive into Smart Learning Suite Online, looked at Explain Everything, and then last week I told you about Canva for Education. Now, over the next 2 weeks, we are going to finish up our series on whiteboards for you and your students. This week, I will cover 3 resources. Next week, I will cover 3 more resources. I'm not going to do a super deep dive into the resources of these whiteboards that you can use with your students. I'm just going to give you a brief overview and show you some of the tools that are available and what it looks like from both perspectives. I'm going to let you kind of decide if they feel like they're the right choice for you and whether or not you want to try them with your students. To start us off, we are going to look at Whiteboard.chat. Now, Whiteboard.chat are individual whiteboards with a lot of tools for students. You can enable your webcam and recording features. You can freeze the board. You can collaborate with students, showcase your work, and showcase students' work. So one of the things that it says on their website specifically is that Whiteboard.chat is for teaching, monitoring, and coaching. So you can show students on your board, you can let students work on their own board, and then you can coach them on their board while they are working. There's a little video here in the newsletter that you can look at. The logo icon here you can click on and it'll take you right to their website. And then I have a little preview of what Whiteboard.chat looks like from the whiteboard perspective. So if you click on the whiteboard itself, the little computer monitor, it will open a larger screen to show you what the canvas looks like in Whiteboard.chat. So let's take a look at Whiteboard.chat. When you get to Whiteboard.chat, you can see that there's a big blue button right toward the bottom of the screen that says Start Drawing. When you click on it, you can start teaching right away, you can start collaborating right away, or you can manage your boards. So if you create an account, you can actually create different boards under your account and refer to them later on. So I'm going to log in. Now that I've logged in, there's a blue button in the top left corner and I can just start teaching. If I want to look at some of the community boards, that is an option too. So it opens up right to my saved boards, but then right next to my saved boards are my community boards. So when you click on the community boards, you can see that there are various community boards. It starts out with geography and facts for the UK. There's an alphabet board, there's a bump game, and it will tell you under these different boards that are available in the community, what grade, what subject, and who the contributor is that created the board. You can link to the board itself and play around with the board. You can actually just copy the board and make it your own. For the purposes of the demonstration here, I'm just going to go to my saved boards and I'm just going to start teaching. When you get to the start teaching, it will pop up with whether or not you would like a tour. You can take the tour, you can skip for now. I will tell you, if you decide to skip the tour for now, the tour will continue to come up every time your page refreshes. So I would either skip for good or I would start the tour. Let's start the tour. So on the left-hand side of your screen is a toolbar. And so along the left edge will give you quick access to a lot of the features like the drawing tools, uploading images, and board content management. The second step in the tour is the drawing toolbox, and that's a little bit farther down on the toolbar, and it's under the wrench. If you click on the wrench, you can get access to various drawing tools for drawing a line, circle, rectangle, brush, and eraser. The third step is to create a lesson plan, so you can upload your lesson plans ahead of time, create workbooks by uploading a multiple page PDF or image files, and then each student will have their own copy of the workbook when they join the class. The whiteboard menu is in the top left corner, and this button is another way for you to access the board toolbar, and it provides textual description of each tool in your toolbar. So if you click on it, the toolbar actually expands and it gives you what each tool is called instead of you having to hover over the top of it to see what the name of the tool is. You have your standard undo and redo buttons. Give your board a name so it's easier to recognize what your board is all about or what lesson plan your board is all about, and then students will get their own name on their board. You name your board for you, but then when students are working, students can actually name their own board. After the board name, special characters are highlighted. Those are up in the top right-hand corner. They are the color palette, and if you click on this, you will get special characters for math, music, and other alphabet symbols. Students on different boards can raise hands, and I will show you the grid view when you can see all of the students' boards and how when they raise their hand, you will see that maybe the student needs some help. You can add timers to your assignment so that you can tell students you are only going to have 5 minutes to work on this specific area of the assignment, and then the alarm will ring. Also along the right-hand side, you will see the different participants that are in the board, and those are labeled similarly to how you would see them labeled in a Google document. You can use Whiteboard.chat without logging in, but if you do log in, you can manage your own boards, keep notes, and access various other features. As always, the little snowman or the ellipses will give you different FAQs, provide you various help, and give you tips. In the far right-hand corner, you can create polls for your students. I played around with this feature a little bit, but I struggled to create the poll and actually to push the poll out to the students to get them to respond. Like in a lot of collaborative spaces, there is an invite button which you can click on and easily invite students using your learning management system like Google Classroom or Seesaw. In the bottom right-hand corner are your quick tools where you can set the name, pick your pen color and the line thickness, and then of course the opacity of that line thickness. Along the bottom, you have a couple of tools. You have the grid view, which is where you can monitor your students' various boards. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, you can access the different pages that you might have built in your whiteboard. So let's take a look at some of the tools that are available in the Whiteboard chat. As you can see, I expanded the toolbar, so now I have all of the names of my toolbar. I can easily add media, and here are my different tools that I can add. So you have lines, arrows, selecting and cropping. I can add a link, dice, a YouTube video. I have some math, some pointers. I can add a calculator, and as I scroll down, I have even more tools that I can add. Musical instruments, text boxes, a drop zone. So there are a lot of features inside the tools under the wrench that you can add to your whiteboard. So you can see the next step here is to get a student to join the board, so I can kind of show you what those features look like. So up at the top is my board here, which is the I. And then if I click on that, my board specifically, I am the teacher currently. And so my color is called Intense Rembrandt. So I am the teacher. I can showcase my work. And then underneath that is the board that has joined, and it tells me and shows me the time that the board has been joined. So I can choose to make this person the teacher. I can lock my class. I can lock the page. So there are a couple of tools that I can use right underneath some of the share settings. I've renamed the board Teacher Board because when I show you the grid view, you will see now that I have the different views of the boards that are joined to Whiteboard.chat. The Whiteboard.chat, in real time, I can see students' work as they are working. So I will just write on this iPad that I have, so you can see in real time, this is the iPad and it is working. I can choose to change the color in real time too, so then when I write, my pen color changes too. So everything is in real time. I can click on this board and I can see the students working. I don't have to join it. I can just see what they're doing on their board. If I would like to, I can join the board. So now if I have joined the board, it says right at the top, students can't write on other boards, but I can use my tools and I can work with the student on their board. So I can move different things around. I can grab my draw tool and I can draw on the board with the student. So they are seeing that. So maybe I want to say, oh, hey, that's a great job. I can go into my tools here and I can look at shapes. So there are several ways for you to interact with your students. If I want to get back to my board, I just simply go to the bottom, I click on Go to Instructor, and then it will return back to my board. So one thing I want to show you here is up at the top, here's the code for students to join the board, but when I actually go to a student's board, the student actually has a different code at the top of their board. So other students or other people could technically join that board. I'm going to go back to my board. One thing I want to show you here is up in your tools or your settings, you have different options for your whiteboard. So only logged in users can join the board. So you can decide that if you want students to have a login for Whiteboard.chat or just have them attached to your specific whiteboard. You can uncheck students can only draw on their board. So you check mark the box, students see simple tools. And then underneath that is students see very simple tools. So if you uncheck these, students are going to get all of the tools that you have as the teacher. You can also choose to allow them to make video recordings, have a text box, enable speech to text, and this might be better for students who are at a younger level who can't type very well. When you are done and you've chosen your different options, you can click Save. Let's look at it from the student's perspective. So here we are from the student's perspective. So you can see that on the left-hand side of the board, I have simple tools. So those are just over here. As opposed to all of the tools that I have as the teacher, I have more robust tools for the student. But it's very easy for me to choose my eraser, and then when you choose the eraser tool, it actually erases all of the writing on that specific board. You don't have to erase each individual speck of the board. You can just erase the different strokes that you used with your pen or your finger. I can even erase what the teacher did on my board if I don't like what they did. And you can see I have up at the top, I can see who has access to this board, and then I have some of the other tools that we mentioned in the tutorial. If I change the settings to more robust tools from the teacher side, so I change those settings, and now you can see that I have all of the tools on the left-hand side toolbar that the teacher would have on their left-hand side toolbar. Those are some of the really basic tools that you have available for yourself in Whiteboard.chat. So what I really like about Whiteboard.chat is how you as the teacher have the ability to create a whiteboard, have students join that whiteboard, and then be able to see in real time what the students are doing. So if you set up your whiteboard ahead of time with different worksheets or math assignments or examples for students in language arts or social studies or science, whatever subject you're teaching, if you set that up for students ahead of time and they join your board, they are given a copy of the board. And then in real time, you can go and see their progress in those boards. So that's really, for me, the most powerful feature of Whiteboard.chat is being able to collaborate and showcase students' work to your entire class on the fly and give them a space in which they can utilize tools to write, draw, add images, and shapes all in one space. I encourage you, if you're looking for a new whiteboard platform with your students, that you do dig a little bit deeper into these resources and figure out if they will work for you, especially based on some of the resources that I've provided already with whiteboard platforms in the past 6 or so episodes. But Whiteboard.chat gaining a lot of traction online. I've seen a lot of social media posts about Whiteboard.chat. I haven't seen a whole lot about Miro, but I have seen some specific EdTech bloggers talking about Miro. Miro did just purchase another whiteboard company, so we'll see if they're going to utilize some of the features from that company that they just purchased into their own. And then Whiteboard.fi, I think, has a lot of potential, and with Kahoot being the parent company of that, I think it's only going to get stronger with some of the tools and the availability that they have for you utilizing the platform with you and your students.